Hello. Today we'll talk about two architects, both connected with this day of July 6th. Well, we are in 2023. First, let's talk about Willem Marinus Dudok, a Dutch architect. Both architects are Dutch, or were Dutch. Dudok died in 1974, while Herman Herzberger still lives. He's, I think, 91 years old today. Let's talk first about this very important Dutch architect who was one of the fathers of modern architecture in the Netherlands. As you can see, born on 6th of July 1884, was a Dutch modernist architect. He was born in Amsterdam. He became city architect for the town of Hilversum in 1928, where he was best known for the brick Hilversum Town Hall, completed in 1931. So when he was 37 years old. Not only did he design the building, but also the interior, including the carpets, the furniture, and even the mayor's meeting hammer. He also designed and built about 75 houses, public buildings, and entire neighborhoods. This was the man. Why is it that the Dutch have so many important architects? Incredible. I mean, really, the list is without an end. Something about them, maybe because they live under the level of the sea, 1/3 of the country. Maybe that helps. Some drawings by Dudok. Again, you know, this is a man who was born in 1884. So he was actually 3 years older than Le Corbusier. So we see here very clearly modernistic architecture. For someone who was born before 1890 in the 19th century to design something like this is rather astonishing. So these are just drawings. We'll look at his built work, and he did build. The City Hall in Hilversum, perhaps his most important work, from 1928 to 1931. There is a certain formal theme in his work, that there is this vertical element, which is quite vertical and assertive, and then the rest of the building rather horizontal with some transitional elements. But all in all, this is a scheme, so to speak, that he enjoyed employing rather often. We are going to see other buildings by him kind of in the same way. But this city hall that he built is his masterwork, by all means. And I like the fact that it's, you know, a reinterpretation in a certain way of Frank Lloyd Wright applied to the realities of the Netherlands, of Europe. And I think he did a remarkable job here. There are very refined parts, as you can see, even so-called details. It's clearly a work that is very convincing in its massing and its you know, the interlocking of various parts that come together. It has a certain monumentality. It's big, as you can see the plan. It's a big building, but it's, well, the spire, the tower is rather dominant, in my opinion, maybe a little bit too dominant. I mean, being that it is a city hall, you could perhaps have some, you know, not fears, but it depends. If you have a problematic relationship with the authority, maybe you could have some trepidation in the proximity of this impressive tower here in the corner. Willem Dudok. Nice, the building in the reflection in the water nearby as well. Brick, because the Dutch are masters of using the brick. Impeccable brickwork. Maybe it was refurbished, but still. And look at this slab. You know, it's elegant, it's refined, it's thin, rather thin, and everything works splendidly. The only, question I have to an extent is the rhetorics of the tower. In my opinion, is a little bit too rhetorical. Otherwise, I like very, very much this building. They take care of it, of course. A school, 1921, 1922, Dr. Banwick School. You see, the same architect and the same, formal composition. In the corner, a tower, and then the building, asserting itself horizontally in a certain way. But you can tell it's the same architect. Dudok, Willem Dudok. I don't even know if I pronounce correctly. Is it Willem or Willem? Perhaps Willem, but I am not sure. I have a problem with the Dutch language. Often I feel intimidated by it, and I search for, there is a site called, how to pronounce correctly names. And I'm sure that this name can be found there too. It's very possible I already checked it and I forgot the correct pronunciation. So a school which is not very, very different formally from the city hall that we just saw. Another school, this one a little bit different, but still in the corner is the emphatic architectural element here, not so tall, but curved. Here is also the color different. The redness is an invitation for the students, for the pupils to, be rebellious. I'm joking. No school probably invites to rebellion, but who knows? Maybe in the Netherlands they have an educational system which advocates more freedom and even iconoclasm. But you see by now, this is the third building by Dudok where he employs kind of the same formal composition, a vertical element towards the corner, and then two sides in L, with the functions of the building. I like the fact that it is red. Maybe we should make all schools in the world red. But here we see in this illustration, maybe it wasn't so red originally. I don't know. Here it doesn't seem to be as it is here. And this is a postcard probably from around the time when it was built. A department store, unfortunately, was destroyed. We already saw two renderings of the project. The one that I said that it was quite modern. It was a remarkable department store, but destroyed in the Second World War when Rotterdam was in good measure destroyed. It was terrible, of course. Here it is. Now look at the building and look at the cars. They have nothing in common. The cars tell you that, this is a picture from before the Second World War, maybe, around the year 1930. But the building, if this building we look at now was built now, all the e-signs and magazines and so on will consider it highly contemporary. But it was built almost 100 years ago. It was an excellent building, yes. And this is the rendering by Mr. Dudok. Between the rendering and the actuality of the building as built, there isn't a great distance, no. Rotterdam, 1930, a department store. Another picture with it. Again, almost alarmingly modern. Now a monument from 1932. I don't know exactly what this monument was for, although someone who lived in the Netherlands and participated in a Zoom presentation 2 years ago, she did say something about this, but I forgot what the story was. This is near the water, and I think it has nobility, it has dignity, it is a monument, but without historicism. It commemorates something. Willem Dudok. Cité universitaire in France, the college of the Dutch college in Paris, 1939. Again, the same scheme. Towards the corner, a vertical element, and then two sides, kind of like in an L, with the functions, distributed probably around the corridor or on one side of a corridor. I think this is the sculpture that represents the architect. I could be wrong, but does seem to have some resemblance to the architect. Um, the same person who told me about that monument also told me that this map shows the colonies of the Netherlands in Southeast Asia. So the Dutch had an extended land, so to speak, extended territories. It was refurbished. The building, that's how it is now in Paris, at the Cité Universitaire. Willem Dudok. This room is almost identical with the room in Erasmus house in Vienna, where I spent some time during 3 years when I initiated a so-called summer school for architecture students. I think that that building, which was much newer, found some inspiration in this building by Dudok, because or maybe it's a scheme that is often employed. I don't know, but the resemblance is astonishing between this room and the room of Erasmus house in Vienna. City Theatre in Utrecht, 1941. I like the fact that it's not very assuming. You know, it has an urban quality, but it's not, you know, very assertive. And the pragmatism of the Dutch somehow cohabits with, you know, certain aesthetical values that are, you know, advocating some kind of a democratic, well, if you say modernism, almost by necessity, you say democracy, because the modern spirit is rather, or should be, or could be, almost exclusively democratic in spirit. So this theater is probably saying, I'm the theater of the proletarians in Utrecht. It's just what I'm imagining. It's very possible. It never crossed the mind of Mr. Dudok to represent a democratic spirit per se or willfully, but that's what I see. An Exxon gas station. Well, gas is king still, even at the time of pollution and climate change. I don't know. I mean, yes, long live the car. I don't know what this is. Who is his house? Yeah, it's a city hall, and I think it is a good work based on that scheme. You know, a vertical and then some. But here there is something a little different because of the large, maybe gathering space on the left, and then the individual offices on the right, and in between them the, you know, the assertion of authority. Okay, so let's wish him happy birthday. And if you want, we can talk a little bit about this building, about this architect actually.